Welcome back to the Kingsway Podcast.
Welcome.
We're glad you're here.
I'm glad I'm here.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
We're getting close here.
Yeah, we got one more episode after this coming out this year.
Yeah, we're gonna do a fun
if
new
the
one.
Lord allows.
Yep.
Yeah,
I'm excited. I don't know if you guys have like your music apps or like your YouTube or whatever, but everybody's kind of doing like a rewind.
Spotify Wrapped.
Yep. So we're gonna do one for the Kingsway Podcast and also Ryan and I's kind of rap,
but more personal, not just Spotify, but like about the podcast, about our lives. I will also share my Spotify Wrapped and tell you all about Indie Squires until you're blue in the brain.
And I just think it'd be fun to do a little bit of like a review of the year and just talk through some of that stuff. So that'll be one of our last episodes. But today we're doing a classic. Verse of the day.
We're not doing a Mountain Dew chugging competition.
Oh my gosh, dude. You know what's funny? Have you seen that Sprite one where people try to chug a whole Sprite without burping?
No.
Oh my gosh, dude. And everybody starts throwing up or like doesn't make it. It's like
better than the cinnamon challenge or whatever?
No, it's just really funny because most of the time people are trying to hold in a burp and then before the end they're like burp as loud as you've ever heard in your entire life.
Yeah.
But we're doing a verse of the day and I cheated I just looked to make sure we had one
but I didn't cheat.
You didn't cheat?
No.
Okay, good.
You told me about it, but
I didn't tell you where though.
Nope.
And it's probably one of the most classic verses in all of the Bible. I would
John
actually say it's one of those verses that like once you've heard it, I think a lot of people remember it for whatever reason. It's kind of catchy.
Yeah.
So it's Hebrews 12:2.
12:2. Hebrews 122.
So it is fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. The joy set before him endured the cross, scorned its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. So, pretty cool. That's actually like legit a really cool verse. Culmination of a lot of things because the verse before that is has a big therefore in it. And if you don't know this, what we do with the verse today, we just read this randomly. I literally looked at this like 3 minutes before we started filming, so I've had zero time to think about it. And we just show you what it would be like to just look at the verse of the day and then study it a little bit and kind of figure out, what's going on around it. So one of the techniques that we've talked about is you want to learn the context. At Ozark Christian College, we were taught this thing AIM, which is author's intended meaning. Which means you have to understand who the author is to the best of ability, who the audience is to the best of ability, and then what is being communicated, not in just a small section, but across the board. And so looking at one verse sometimes it can be easy to take it out of context. The more you read, the more you interpret, the more you know about the setting, the more you know about the author can help understand exactly what's being communicated. That being said, we don't know who wrote Hebrews, so that's a little difficult. Ryan and I have had some debates on that, actually.
I know who wrote it.
I think both of us are pretty convinced it's Apollos.
Yep. I think we're on the same page as Martin Luther, and he was smart.
Yeah.
Therefore, we're smart.
I find it curious that we don't know who, especially because Apollos is mentioned in Acts multiple times.
And 1 Corinthians.
And 1 Corinthians, which we just talked about as well. Not on the podcast, behind closed doors.
Preparing for a future episode.
Yep.
Probably early in the new year sometime.
Yes.
Maybe.
Which I'm excited about that one. I just didn't feel it today, which is good. We're talking about Christmas stuff. We're going to do the different thing.
We'll save the grenades for January. What'd I get in my stocking?
Here we come.
But one of the reasons I think it's Apollos is Hebrews is one of the most readable books.
Yeah.
Now, we're not saying readable as in all the words are on a second grade level or something.
No.
I mean, literarily, now you're reading a translation, so there's clunks and whatever. But literarily, it could be presented as if it was a sermon. In fact, it probably is a sermon that somebody wrote down, maybe made into a letter and sent to people, maybe just like
recorded it.
Yeah, somebody was sitting out there taking really good notes. That's what we always hope at Kingsway Christian Church, that somebody out there, Nancy Duncan, is
just writing
furiously
every word.
Yeah, creating a manuscript and taking out all the ums.
Please,
but anyway,
please.
It's one of the most eloquent in that sort of way, flowing, written documents in all of Scripture, especially the New Testament.
Yes.
And that's what we know about Apollos, is that he was eloquent and well-spoken. That's originally what led him to be convincing in, I think, Ephesus.
Yep. Until he
Where
meets
Priscilla and Aquila, they
Mm-hmm.
came to him and heard him teach and thought it was good, but he's missing some important stuff about Jesus and the Christian faith. So they correct him on some stuff, and he's really receptive to that.
Yep.
So there's his eloquence once. His eloquence twice is he goes to Corinth and he ministers there for a period of time. And his teaching is so good and eloquent
Yep.
that it undermines Paul
Yeah.
and creates factions.
Yep.
And he's like sad about that and knows he'd made a big mess. I mean, he didn't make it directly. He was like, he was doing too good of a job, but he kind of made a mess. And Paul has to talk about how both him and Apollos have a role to play in what Jesus is doing in the church at Corinth. But Apollos' job was not to plant, it was to water. And Paul's job was to plant. But God's job was to give the growth. And so don't follow Apollos or Paul. Follow them as they follow Christ.
Absolutely.
Anyway, so that's my big reason for thinking Apollos is that he's a very well instructed Jew. He's not just a Greek, even though his name is Apollos. It's a Greek god. And then he's eloquent.
I was going to say in the book, if you've never heard it read, YouVersion will read it to you. It feels like a sermon. Like when you listen to it, listen to someone reading it straight through without the chapter breaks, without, it flows really, really well. And in fact, I just studied it in a Bible study not too long ago. And it was really hard not to want to go back and remind, because you wanted to hear it all connect. Because by the time you get to some of the end, there is, in this verse, culmination of what has been taught up to this point. And because once you get to this place where it's like, therefore you're surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and run the race that's marked out before you, keeping your eyes fixed on Jesus, the author and perfecter of your faith. There's a level of what he has called you to before that is what he's talking about. And then the gospel is being perfected and pioneered by Jesus, which is, obviously it's gospel news.
I want to talk really quick. I did a paper in Bible college. So basically I did a super great Bible study 12 years ago, and I still remember it.
Yep.
This phrase, where is it? 12 to, let us fix our eyes on Jesus. The author and perfecter is what my NIV from some year it says. But yours says pioneer and perfecter?
It says pioneer and perfecter.
What version are you reading?
NIV. It's the newer version.
I think I have an older NIV.
Yep.
Anyway, but
that's how I memorized it. That's why I say it like that.
Oh, is it actually author? No, it says pioneer in the
Pioneer
NIV.
and perfecter in the NIV.
Yeah. So this older NIV, because this is also NIV, but they have different editions. They update it. The 2011 was one of the most recent, but I think they have even more recent.
I can't remember.
Anyway, the reason that some of these different words are used, author and perfecter, pioneer and perfecter, it's a phrase and a grouping of words that's getting at an idea that people already know. So this is to a group of Jewish Christians.
Yep.
And it may or may not be in a Jewish area. It's probably in a Jewish community, but it may be to Corinth. Maybe this is one of those sermons they gave that split the church. Or it may be some other Jewish community somewhere else. It isn't necessarily in Jerusalem, in the capital of the Holy Land or whatever. But pioneer and perfecter, author and perfecter, is getting at this thing in Greco-Roman culture where even though there's a whole pantheon of gods that all of you worship, and you can worship for different things and have a patron deity of your household and your family, but you'd also have a patron deity of your city sometimes, a lot of times. So like a great example, Athens, the patron deity of matron deity. There we go.
There it is.
That's where I'm
matron
looking.
deity.
Matron deity is Athena.
Yep.
Notice how close those two words are. Athens, Athena. In their lore, they believe that deity founded that city, has not died, and is the current protector, preserver, life giver to that city. So pioneer is very like pilgrim or whatever. Like we set it up. We founded it from nothing. We came out from where we were and set this thing up. And then perfecter has this from the start continuing kind of timeline trajectory. And so what it's saying is the faith that you stand on, we have all these witnesses. But above them all, fix your eyes not on the witnesses. You get to feel their presence and camaraderie around you. But in the group of them all, fix your eyes on Jesus, because he founded this faith before any of them. And to this very moment and into eternity, he is sustaining and perfecting and making things good, giving energy for the battle against entropy. I'm using some big words here. But like entropy is like, if God was a cosmic watchmaker, watches fall apart over millions of years. Those gears and springs don't just keep going. So our world, without God's intervention, is just kind of falling apart. The chaos is getting bigger and bigger every day. But if God has a good plan for this world, he can hold back that entropy and actually push it back the opposite direction. That some things are getting better and better. Addicts are being healed and lives changed. That's the reverse of entropy. They normally would just fall apart and die someday, like everybody's going to die. But God is changing stories and pushing back the darkness and reversing entropy. That's the perfecter side, the author or pioneer and perfecter. So that's that little phrase that he's like taking a play on how they think about the Greco-Romans around them, think about deities and their association with cities, and comparing Jesus and his association with our faith.
And that's part of the reason why when he says pioneer or author and perfecter, and then he says for the joy set before him, this is how he did it. And it's like he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand. So it's like he did this thing. He built this city. And then he perfected this city by this kingdom by doing this thing on the cross.
And he is perfect.
Yes. And so then verse 3, which we don't have, is consider him who endured such opposition from sinners so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. And so I think there's a level here of like, the author of Hebrews is trying to explain to a Jewish audience why the gospel is good. Like that's almost the whole point of Hebrews. It's like, this is why the gospel is good. He's our new temple. He's our new high priest. He's somebody that knows everything that you've been through because he went through it for himself. He can relate to you. Like everything about this new pioneer and this new author is better than the old system. Like you're going to like this better. It's better for you. It's better for everyone.
Yeah. There's a really cool, so pretty much the whole book of Hebrews, it's using a lot of insider Old Testament Jewish language to make a lot of points. But a lot of the points they're making, the author, probably Apollos, is how, to use modern day slang, how goated Jesus is.
Yes, 100%.
And so they're always just picking some famous, respectable person
Abraham.
From the faith. Abraham, Moses, Melchizedek. Even the high priest, the temple, the sacrifice. Look at all these things. Jesus is better
Jesus
than
is
that.
better.
And so chapter 11, the Hall of Fame of Faith, they rapid fire through a bunch of people. And what the cool part about this verse, the author and perfecter of our faith, is that each one of these people is respectable because of their faith. And so you would almost expect by the list, the way he sets it up, Jesus is the most respectable because he has the most faith. And he actually twists it with those words. No, Jesus is the most respectable because he is the God they had faith in. He isn't the best kind of person that Moses was, one of those kinds of people. He is the God Moses had faith in, made flesh.
He is who they were putting their trust in. He was the one they were looking forward to.
It's like, it's as if you were like, oh, you think Michael Jordan's the best? Well, have you heard about Leroy Jenkins? And pulling out somebody that you're like, I've never heard of that guy. And saying, at 50 years old, he created basketball. He taped the baskets on the streetlight posts. And he's still outscoring everyone in the league, and he will never die. You're like, oh my gosh, what? You just went into the NBA 2K like game designer, gave the guy the biggest muscles the customizer would allow. What? It's like almost unbelievable the way they're putting Jesus above him. So that's part of the pioneer and perfecter language is he's not just the best guy of all the guys we think had good faith. He is so good. He is the one people had faith in, even if they didn't know it.
And that's part of what then the author is going to use, inside this letter is like, as he set up Jesus to be this incredible thing that the older generations put their faith in. Now he's calling this new generation of Christians to do the same thing. And then he's going to say, all right, now you can trust him because of he's so good.
Yeah.
And
when you look up to Abraham, you're looking at his example and being inspired.
Yep.
When you look up to Jesus, he's actually handing you current power.
Yep.
To like power. My voice cracked a little bit. He's handing you current power. I
love how that made you sound.
I'm trying
less powerful.
to fight sin, to be humble and obedient and allegiant to the kingdom of God and whatever. He's actually helping you rather than just inspiring you in a helpful way.
Well, and then the relationship you have with Jesus is different than the law because the relationship is driving you to something that's greater than the law. And so where the limitations of the law were falling short, now all of a sudden it can feel a little bit like, oh, so I'm free of the law? No, you're actually not. You're actually going to be disciplined like a father and his children is the continuation of these verses where it's like, no, don't see discipline as something that you should shy away from. That's actually how your faith is going to be born into greater place. And so I think there is a level too where the author is using this is kind of like if I could memorize like 2 or 3 verses out of Hebrews, it would be Hebrews 12, 1, 2, and 3. Like I really do. Like if you're listening, Eli, you should totally memorize Hebrews 12, 1, 2, and 3. It's just you'll never not need a verse like this because though we know the cloud of witnesses that he's talking about is the list in 11, you can add to that list anyone that has lived their life with faith in Jesus and has trusted in him. That is the cloud of witnesses. The cloud of witnesses that came before, but now there is a cloud of witnesses that have come afterwards that are continuing to put their faith back towards the man that came, died, and rose again. So Hebrews, that's why it's such I think, a long-lasting addition in the canon that we currently use is because it's congruency. And I think, we talked about authorship earlier, but there's so many words and so many phrases that are used in this book that Paul never uses, that Paul chooses to say differently. Paul does not write as the same with the stylistic stuff. A lot of his were personal letters or letters written to groups of people or churches specifically. This is just like written in like a generalization of like to the audience that's basically everyone, to anyone that wants to know the gospel, primarily Jewish. But like Ryan said, this could be going to the synagogues in these cities just to be read. It could be something that's being passed out in Jewish neighborhoods, using it as kind of like this is what's happening in the gospel. Because a lot of this stuff is very confusing when it first started for the Jews because they're thinking that the Messiah was going to bring a physical kingdom. They were going to conquer the Romans. That we talked about all this stuff before. And so to kind of understand behind the scenes what's going on inside their own kind of faith journey with God, they needed someone to do this like legwork to help them understand exactly why Jesus is so important and exactly why he's exactly what they needed the Savior to be. So it's important inside gospel understanding.
Yeah. I was just reading a way further into chapter 12 in the beginning of 13. He makes this big point. He's kind of bookending this chapter, starting with, so fix your eyes on Jesus, and ending with, so don't deny Jesus.
Yep.
Honestly, you could deny some of these other people. It would be bad. It would suck. But you wouldn't be kicked out. But don't deny Jesus.
Yeah.
That will kick you out so much quicker. And we're not saying kick you out as in like the unforgivable sin or whatever, but like,
no,
Abraham isn't the metric. Moses isn't the metric. Jesus is the metric.
Yep. Jesus
is the one with the authority and the power that Moses and Melchizedek bow to.
The way, the truth, and the life.
Yeah.
I think that's part of what makes this so special too, is like, this is an easy verse of the day. I mean, this is like a field goal. It's like giving you, not quite John 3:16, but I would say it's like one of the most memorable, I think for myself, I remember very, very like high school age learning these verses And it clicked immediately in my head where I was like, yeah, that's probably what's most important. Like out of everything that we're learning, like fixing your eyes on Jesus and trusting in him to be the thing that you need to create whatever you're looking for. Well, and I remember like, I don't know what I'm gonna do for work. I don't know who I'm gonna marry. I don't know where I'm gonna live. I don't know, and it's like, it doesn't, like, all that stuff matters, but like, don't fix your eyes on just that. Yeah. Like there has to be something larger that you're aiming for.
Now there is an example side to it. I don't know how my hair looks since I took my hat off, but hopefully you're just listening and not watching on YouTube.
Glamorous.
There's also an example side. So like in my NIV, the section header right above this section, you'd think it's about Jesus and how cool he is. But the section header is God disciplines his sons, which is like, I don't know if that's my favorite part. But the second half of our 12 verse 2, so let us fix our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith. Second half, who for the joy set before him endured the cross, like went through the hard stuff.
Yep.
Scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Going on to verse 3, consider him who endured such opposition from sinful men, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. Verse 4, in your struggle against sin, you have not yet resisted to the point of shedding your blood, and you have forgotten that word of encouragement that addresses you as sons. My son, do not make light of the Lord's discipline, and do not lose heart when he rebukes you, because the Lord disciplines those he loves and punishes everyone he accepts as a son. Enduring hardship as discipline, God is treating you as sons. There's so much more on that. But as you can see from what I'm saying, the second half of look at Jesus is look at how well he suffered. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily that all and any suffering you ever experience is God's direct judgment and discipline and punishment and whatever. Some of that's just like the laws of nature.
Well, and you talked about right there, sin oftentimes to be resisted demands discipline.
Yeah.
Right. Like you can't resist sin without discipline. Like it's like saying like, oh, I accidentally ate a bunch of broccoli. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Like no one does that. Like it's like you naturally do the thing that you're not supposed to do. So it takes discipline to go the other direction, go upstream, as I was always taught in youth group. And then on top of that, if you don't care about something, you won't take care of it. Yeah. That's like the big thing, right? If I don't care about something, I just let it go. I don't really care. But basically the author's saying like God cares too much about you not to care. Like he just doesn't, he's going to care about how your life looks and what you're doing to either wreck it or wreck someone else's. And he loves all his children, and he loves you enough to care and to pay attention and try to coach you up. Yeah.
The way you were talking about it reminded me of, I think it's earlier in the same letter, him talking about training his body, shadow boxing, whatever. Mm-hmm. Do you know where that is? Is that in 11?
I don't know if that might be Timothy too.
That may be in Timothy. You're right. Anyway, talking about like preparing to endure suffering. Suffering is such a huge topic in the New Testament. It's a topic in the Old Testament, but it's like God's going to deliver us from it. In the New Testament, there's a lot more conversation about suffering, putting hair on your chest, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Suffering being transformative, suffering being a way to share in the experience of Christ, and therefore be closer to God, be more godly. I'm godly in my shared experiences with the Lord of the universe of suffering.
Yeah.
What is it? 1 Peter 2 or 2 Peter 2, talking about pretty much that exact thing. I rejoice in my sufferings because they help me know the sufferings of Christ, or something like that. I may be getting the wording a little bit off, but that's the gist of it.
Well, in 2 Corinthians 12 too, and in my weakness you're strong. Like there's a level of like when you realize you've come to the end of yourself is where you truly believe or start to believe that, and you only have God left. You know what I mean? It's like, well, if this is going to work, it's going to take God. Is sometimes the best moments of like actual real faith, because you're like, I can't do this. And then God shows up and it works. Yeah. I think that's part of why sometimes that suffering feels like it's leading somewhere, but either we're being told wait, or we're being told not yet, or we're being told hold on, and I love to tell you that like you could get strong without suffering in the gym. You can't. I'd love to tell you can get better at an instrument without having sessions of practice that are torturous in the sense of like how hard they are.
I used to work at a music store, and they gave lessons to students on like public school band instruments. students playing the clarinet, the oboe.
Oh gosh, it'd be torturous.
That
sounds.
is suffering.
That's
Listening
torturing
to them,
sounds.
it takes a couple years for some of those kids to stop committing sins on those instruments. The noises they make through the clarinet, any wooden reed instrument, it's just like, stop honking.
Oh,
You're not
dude,
geese.
the violin is not much more. The better I've seen that Katrina do.
Yeah, but there's something about the endurance of that and the life of endurance of that. This chapter and the way it talks about suffering and God's discipline reminds me a lot of Philippians 4.
Yeah.
In how the beginning of Philippians 4 is Paul talking about conducting a lot of joyful, confident activity. No, that's James, right? Consider it pure joy, brothers, when you face trials of many kinds, various kinds.
For we know
Yeah. But Philippians 4 is like, don't grumble about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Whatever. But it gets to, there's so much more than just saying whatever. It gets to Philippians 4:13, the best verse to put on your face black on
I can do all
football
things.
player. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Yeah, that's actually talking about Christ in the same way I was talking about him in the perfecter kind of sense from 12:2. But in the I can do all things, it isn't, I can buy this 2-story house and then I can buy this 3-story house. It's, I can suffer all things. So that we've talked about this a bunch, but for maybe 10-ish or 11-ish and on, I've learned how to be content in all circumstances. I've had plenty and I've been in need. I've been sick and healthy, strong and weak and whatever. And I've learned how to be content in all things, for I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. That like, I can suffer all things. Probably part of what he's thinking is that 1 Peter 2, it brings me closer to God, to be further from wanting to live in this world, further from pleasure and whatever, even though he's like, not denouncing all that.
I've completed the process. I've completed the process, the sanctification process. I understand how it works now. Like, it's not that I'm perfect. It's that I understand how it works. I've figured it out. Like
this Hebrews 12 part with the God's discipline is sort of like a class, an instructor telling you should do this. Philippians 4 is more like the testimonial on the medication.
This is how it works.
I used to be whatever, and then this Crohn's disease medication, and now I can predictably be outside and not have my intestines burning or whatever. Like it seems like a testimonial.
Oh, it is.
It is.
It is. That's exactly what it is. And I mean, Philippians is a letter of encouragement. Now, here's what's so cool. I love that we did this. It's so fun. I hope that you would try to do one of these yourself. And if you would, and you do it, let us know which verse you did in the comments. I'd love to know if there was a verse of the day or just a random verse that you were like, I did this and I found it really entertaining or fun, and I like it was something stimulating, like it made me learn something new, or it made me ask some new questions, or it made me have to dig a little deeper to figure it out.
Now,
it's fun.
What you're not, maybe you're seeing it if you're watching the podcast, but what you're not hearing are some of our questions. So feel free to ask questions as you go through the text. We've been through these texts enough to where we're like opening a previous save file. We're like in our brains, we're going back to like, oh, here. But then when we see a question, the reason there's two of us is that one person is talking and you're like, whew, I got a second.
Like,
okay,
I'm going to go figure this out.
Let me read. Let me ask more questions, and then get some at least hyperlinks, if not answers. At least some like, oh, this reminds me of this. Oh, this reminds me of this. And then the other person starts talking, who was just asking the questions. The person who's not talking anymore is asking new questions in their head. So here's my suggestion. As you do this with a verse of the day or some verse you have a question about or whatever, do this and write down your questions the whole time. I'm saying write them down because it's so cool when God draws your eyes to other verses or right around there to the context right before and after your verse and answers some of those questions. Whether the question is like, who is Melchizedek? That's not in this verse or whatever. But if that was there, what are they talking about? Sprinkling blood on what? And wait, why would they have to do this in the first place? Write some of those down because it's really cool to go back over, even if you've answered them. Look at all these questions I came up with from the scriptures and how many God answered, and then be inspired to look up the answers or ask some of us or whatever just like keep track of those. We're rapid fire going through them, but because there's two of us, there's less awkward pauses. You should use those awkward pauses.
And I think when you do it by yourself too, you have a chance. There's no pressure. You're not trying to talk while you do it. You can just internally, bounce around. Well, as always, if you like this type of content, you can hit the subscribe button or share. We have a number of these that we've done before. So if you like this, you can go find a whole playlist of these.
I made sure to look through and see, like, wait, have we done this one before? And I don't think we have. So I think we're
good.
safe.
Maybe we will.
Maybe this was so much better than the last one if we did it before.
It was so memorable that I. Thanks so much if you made it this far. Gold star to you, Mom, Will, Eli.
Yep.
And as always,
Brian.
As always, leave a review and share it with your friends. It helps us know. If you want to hear something specific, a topic, something that you want to hear in the next year that you're like, man, this would be cool in 2026.
Even hit us with it. It could be a series. It could be an episode. Mm-hmm. Maybe we hate your idea and we don't do it. I'm just kidding. That probably won't happen.
Well, and feel free to always come and ask us questions. If you're a part of Kingsway, come and tell us what you're thinking too. You don't have to put it in the comments.
Also, this for you, Eli. I know the episode that you want us to make.
Yep.
And we will make it early next year. That's what we were talking about.
Yep. We will.
I hear you.
We will.
It's coming soon.
We've heard you. Have a great, glorious day in the Lord. We'll see you later.
See ya.